Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our weekly Adobe Creative Educator live stream series. Today is Thursday, April 30th, and we have a very special guest joining us today. So Joe Dockery, who's joining us all the way from Washington. And today we're going to talk about live events. So it's May. We're thinking about graduation, final presentations, performances, and how can we continue to keep students connected during this time. So if you're just joining in the chat, feel free to introduce yourself. We are currently live from Facebook and Twitter, and hope that you are all continuing to stay safe and healthy at home as we're live streaming from our homes here at Adobe. And I'll go ahead and hand it off to Tanya, my partner in crime, who's co-hosting this series with me.
Hey everybody, yes, please take a moment, introduce yourself, let us know where you're joining us from today so we can get the conversation started, and we'll be checking back for questions throughout the stream. So super excited to have Joe Dockery on our show today. Joe Dockery is a fellow Adobe education leader and is awesome. So Joe, I'd love for you maybe just to start by just telling us a little bit about yourself, like where do you teach, what do you let us know about you.
Yeah, so I'm a digital media teacher, and for me that means animation, video, film, graphic design, all those fun applications. And I teach at Mount Si High School, which is about 30 miles east of Seattle. So think of Seattle and then the Cascade Mountain Range. I'm right there at the base of the mountains, which is a beautiful area. So I'm super lucky to be teaching there, and I'm an Adobe education leader and have been for, I think, 15 years now. So one of the older crew, and love, I tell people I bleed Adobe red. So that's who I am.
Nice. And Joe, I know it's been so great being able to collaborate with you, whether it's ISTE or other conferences. And I know at this time of year, you're usually prepping for the AllGirls Film Challenge. How has everything been just at home with that transition to an online environment with your students?
Yeah, I tell you, Washington State was, every day we were getting a message from the governor, this is closing down and this is closing down. And it was a little scary. I won't forget the day, before we closed school, you could see the writing on the wall. And I checked out every single piece of gear I could, I was like, take these cameras home, take this draw tablet home, I don't think we're coming back tomorrow. So let's get all this stuff into your hands. And I'm really lucky. Our district, a year and a half ago, moved to an LMS. We chose Schoology. And so I'm really lucky that for the last year and a half, I've gotten a chance to use a learning management system. Mm-hmm. And my kids for the last, year and a half have been going through that process of, getting assignments digitally and turning in work digitally. So we were ahead of the game. But what I've found is they actually have to start reading the directions. And so that might be a valuable thing. If, nothing comes out of this, but kids actually starting to read directions, that would be awesome. And as a teacher, I'm finding that I'm really starting to anticipate the questions that they're going to have and building that into my lessons. So that's been a real positive. I've been recording video tutorials and using screencasting software. I use Camtasia, but there's lots of great things out there for years and years. And if anybody is interested in lessons on Premiere Pro or After Effects or Photoshop or Illustrator, if you just Google my name, you'll find my website, and I've got hours and hours of video tutorials out there. So if you're looking for lessons and you need some easy online stuff to teach your kids about Adobe products, look me up. I'm also on the Ed Exchange.
Yeah, Joe, your stuff is amazing. And I'm always amazed at how talented your students are. I've seen some of the work that they do, and I'm just kind of curious, like, what does your schedule look like in distance learning, and what tools have you been using to stay connected with your insanely talented students?
That is a great question. Our district decided to have one period meet a week. So you meet with each period once a week. So like on Mondays, I see my first through third period class. On Tuesday, I see 4 and 5. And then on Wednesdays, I see 6 and 7. So we just have 1 hour with each of those classes. We're using Microsoft Teams to do that live interaction. And then I learned from Clara about Calendly. And so I've set that up so my kids have an option to do office hours. How do you pronounce it?
Calendly. Yep, I love it.
Yeah. So, in the afternoons, kids can set up one-on-one meetings with me, and then I get to see them once a week on Teams. And then obviously we're using our LMS Schoology, so I post all my lessons there, and it has a messaging system built into it, so kids are constantly sending messages to me that way, and I'm responding to them. And then built into Microsoft Teams is also a chat function. So today, I had, 5 or 6 questions on Microsoft Teams. I responded to them on Schoology. So we're trying to stay connected through those different tools. And we just started a school live stream. So I'm helping my principal stay connected with the kids as well, using this same platform actually right here, StreamYard. So those are some of the tools that we're doing. And I tell you though, it doesn't sound like you're only 1 day a week or 1 hour a week am I meeting with each of my kids, but it takes a lot of time because it's all those interactions outside of those class periods, like the emails and the chats and the one-on-one meetings, that it does take up a lot of time. But and the bottom line is I miss my kids. I teach because I love hanging out with kids, and I miss that high five at the door every day, and seeing them. So that I look forward to those 1 hour meetings with them. It's really something that I think all of us that teach are really missing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I know we're all doing what we can to continue just to stay connected to them. And I know the feeling. Sometimes it becomes 7, 8 o'clock and you're still at your computer and you don't even know where time went. But
an interesting thing happened actually in between when Washington shut down our schools and then the state ed department said, hey, you need to start teaching again. We had about a 2-3 week window. And I actually had my kids reach out to me that run our weekly broadcast and said, hey, we want to keep going. We think our broadcast is ways that kids connect to us. Mm-hmm. And so we started making a remote broadcast and recording interviews using Teams and, recording our dog of the week at home. And we went from normally getting about 200 views on our broadcast to 750, the first remote broadcast that we sent. So obviously kids want to connect. Mm-hmm. And if you can find ways to do it, it's just going to be really pretty cool. Our staff even got together and made a little video where each of us was dancing to this song, and we cut it together. And oh my gosh, the first day we got over 2,000 views. I mean, if you can connect with your kids, they want it. So figure out ways to do it.
I want to see a link to that. That sounds really fun.
Sounds good. Yeah. You won't see me dancing. I was one, behind the scenes.
Nice. Yeah. Well, speaking of, virtual connections with students, I know, as I mentioned previously, this is usually the time of year where you're prepping for the AllGirls Film Challenge. And I was so honored to be there last year and to connect with our product manager, Victoria from After Effects, to lead a session with students on marketing. But for those who are tuning in, what is the AllGirls Film Challenge and what goals does it accomplish?
Oh my gosh. So this is something that I'm super passionate about. When I first started teaching video, gosh, I'd have one girl out of 30, and that just wasn't enough. It for them and for the rest of the class. And so my mission is to try to encourage as many girls to explore digital media and take those classes as possible. So we run this event each year where there's two parts. There's a film festival. So the All-Girls Film Challenge is where girls make films and tell their story from their perspective. So the film challenge is awesome. And one of the best parts about the film challenge is that it's juried by former girls from our program. So they're girls that were in these shoes, and they give the best feedback. It's just amazing. It's positive, it's informative, and it's very, very accurate. So the film challenge is awesome. And then we had to set up a screening for this film challenge. So we decided to start this event where we got, I don't know, as many professional women from the media industry as possible together with the middle school and high school girls. And it grew from 60 girls the first year to about 150 last year when you were there at Microsoft. And we had about 20 to 30 women from different, animation, graphic design, filmmaking, directors, just everybody. There was just all these women. And it's a magical event. When you get to sit down in a room with that many girls and women, all passionate about media and all wanting to share their stories, it's the best thing I've done in 30 years of education. It's just a magical event. And so it was scheduled for tomorrow. And we spend all year planning for this event, organizing it, fundraising, and to have it just suddenly disappear was just unacceptable. The girls in my school and I were just not willing to let it go. And so we decided to start our weekly webinar where we invited those same professionals to come in and talk once a week. So like this Friday, tomorrow, you can tune in at 11 to noon and see Sarah Kellner. She's from Valve Software. She's going to be talking about animation. And then next week, we have our keynote speaker, which is just going to be an awesome event. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. But it's really cool. And one of the things that's come out of it is the girls are learning how to set up a live stream. They're learning how to host a live stream. They're learning about how to promote it on social media. So what we're finding is these girls are learning all these really cool skills that we wouldn't have done if we had the live event. So in a way, it's been a real positive.
Yeah, well, and it makes sense. I mean, this is almost going to be a lot more of a new normal. So these are really practical skills for your kids to be learning how to do in this new space where, streaming and live streaming or being able to record for a different media is going to be essential. So I guess it's extremely timely. And especially that, it is about film. So these skills are going to take them a long way. I'm kind of curious, since it is virtual this year, what are you doing to make it a successful, connected event? Do you have any maybe tips that you can share?
I hope so. First of all, we wanted the normal event, the magic behind the normal event is when the women and the girls sit around a table, that interaction. And so when we set up the webinar, we purposely made it a conversation like this. We wanted it to be an interaction between the girls and the professionals. Instead of just some woman coming on and giving a lecture, we wanted it to be a interaction. And so, we've purposely set that up so it's a conversation and the girls get to ask questions, and we've asked the professionals to ask the girls questions, interact, make it a conversation, not a presentation. And we're using the software that you're actually using, StreamYard here, and it's really slick. It allows for the girls to go back and forth. And we've had things, not perfect. So for example, on one, there was a dog barking. Well, grab the dog and bring it into the picture. We're human. We're at our homes. Let's embrace that. Mom comes into the thing, introduce your mom to the rest of the world. So having fun with it and not trying to be perfect, just trying to recreate that magic of getting to hang out with somebody really cool and mentoring. And we've just got a great response from all the professionals, and they appreciate the fact that they can just kind of relax and come talk to a bunch of girls.
I know you had mentioned that you had them weekly. What was your kind of reasoning for that?
Ooh, that's a good question. Part of what we were hoping to do is share this information with other teachers. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the teachers, at least in my region, have been emailing each other back and forth. Hey, what are you doing with your kids? What are you doing with your kids? And we wanted to provide anybody that wants to log in, watch this. And we've actually put on the website, if you bring that up, we've got a little handout here. So teachers can assign this. This could be an assignment, click on it, watch the 1 hour webinar, and just fill out this really simple little worksheet, turn it in, and you get credit. So in fact, I'm using that in my class as a makeup. If you missed an assignment earlier in the semester, you could watch any of the webinars that you're interested in, fill out that little worksheet, and make up for an assignment. So it's kind of fun.
Awesome. I also know that you, in order to be successful there, you also wanted to make sure that you were drawing in an audience. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your virtual keynote?
Oh my gosh. So next week is just going to be amazing. I don't know if you've heard about Miri Rodriguez, but she just got done with her book just came out on brand storytelling. And so she's going to just give this wonderful keynote presentation. And I hope a bunch of you can log in next week. It's going to be next Friday at 11 to noon. And it's going to be about brand storytelling. But this one is entitled Once Upon a Time, Learn to Tell the Origin Story. So the girls are from all over our region are going to be logging in, and I've been working with the teachers and giving them there's a different handout for this one, kind of a more complex one. And we're going to be following along with Miri and building our own personal brands. So that's really exciting. We were going to have a professional working with like 8 girls. I haven't been able to figure out a way to have the professionals actually interacting with the girls during the keynote. So it's going to still be a little bit more remote, but we're looking forward to it.
And brand storytelling now, again, is so powerful. I mean, we're seeing in industry people who are able to have that brand are able to distinguish themselves and be able to kind of leverage social media and technology in a way that's really powerful. And as we're seeing industries shift and change, I think this is so relevant for moving into 2020, moving into this era post-COVID, where the whole idea of being able to communicate more effectively using technology is going to be even more important. So I think this is an amazing opportunity for anyone if they're able to check out, because this is super relevant for all kids right now. And I think honestly for most adults as well who are trying to kind of find their way to be able to participate in. You mentioned the connections to industry professionals. And in the past, how have your students taken to those opportunities? Have you ever seen anything come from that? They're taking on perhaps a new career choice, or have you ever noticed that was present?
Absolutely. A lot of the professionals are former students of mine or former students of the other teachers that are part of this regional group. And so we definitely have had a lot of, post-event connections with the girls. I personally do a networking assignment where the girls have to create, well, actually every kid in my class, boys and girls, create a networking database. And we put in that networking database the people that we've met, and then we follow up with those people. Some of those networking connections have meant kids being invited onto set and getting to be a production assistant. So that's pretty awesome. Part of our graduation requirement in the state of Washington is you have to interview somebody from the industry you're interested in going into. So this provides my kids a chance to not only interview somebody, but interview somebody that they already have met. So that's really great. And then this is our 6th year. So I've got kids that have gone through this, gone to college, and now are graduating and making connections with those professionals that they met way back when. So there's definitely been a lot of connections that have happened with the professionals. And not only are the girls getting connected with these professionals, but as a teacher, I'm getting connected. And
yeah,
at the event, we also have a group of teachers that get to come to this event, bring their girls, and they have been able to become, like, I have a couple of these women that are now part of my business advisory. One works for Amazon, and she's, produces videos. And when we were going to this new virtual world, she was one of the first people I connected with and said, what are you guys doing at Amazon? How are you doing this? And she gave me a lot of advice and has supported. And in fact, she was our very first webinar. So that was really cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So both as a teacher and as my students, it's been super valuable.
Yeah. What an incredible opportunity for students. And it was so vibrant, being there last year at Microsoft and talking to so many of these students. It's just an incredible opportunity that you're giving them. And then also from, the industry side, it was interesting to hear what students were passionate about or interested in as we're thinking about how to develop, whether it's a software tool or other, there were filmmakers there. So I know that it was thinking through what students were interested in to help kind of meet that audience needs too. So I think both ways it was very successful.
Well, and I think it's important that we have both middle school girls involved, because they're the ones that are trying to make decisions about, what classes do I take when I get to high school? And then part of what we're doing with the webinar series, one of the first things we ask every single professional is, what was your path? How did you get here? And it's really interesting seeing that diversity and allowing girls to see that there's lots of different ways to get into the industry. I don't have to go to university. I don't have to, there's lots of different ways to get there. Mm-hmm. And in fact, coming up, I think on our June 5th webinar, we're actually getting a panel of girls that are in college right now. So we can have people call in and ask them questions. What is film school really like? What is animation school really like? What are you dealing with now during this COVID time? And so I'm really excited for our June 5th webinar, so that we can connect that, middle school, high school, and college, all 3 levels.
I think this is also so important for girls to see other girls, other women who have been successful in this industry. It's true. I mean, when we look at the Oscars and we look at film directors who are female, it's very uncommon, unfortunately, still today, to see women, and all kinds of women of color, all, that's lacking so very much. And so I think it's really powerful that you are providing that outlet, and this opportunity for girls to be inspired to say, like, there is someone that looks like me, I can do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
That's it.
No, just piggybacking off of that, I think one of the things I discussed with some of the girls last year is that there isn't a dictated path to become a filmmaker or to, work within the film industry. And I think sometimes when we're in a classroom and in education, we're used to, we have to take these courses and we have to complete this degree, and then everything is, the specific path after. But it was so curious to hear the girls saying, wait, you were an English major and now you're working at a tech company. And Tanya, I'm sure you could speak to this too, that there isn't a prescriptive path for you. The times are changing, and there are new roles, especially within the film industry, of whether it's in marketing or actually creating the films themselves, that girls can look into.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And also just the pathway that you get to a certain place. I think it's really powerful to share with students that you might decide you're going in one path, but just networking, meeting people, putting yourself out there, creating a personal brand. Like, I don't want to go back to, but like, that's really powerful way of being able to to connect and sort of leverage your network. All of those pieces play a big role in terms of like where you're going to end up. And so I love that you're providing this opportunity, because this is often not shared and shown and taught in traditional programs. So, and I think it's exciting. And I also think it's really exciting that you're sharing this now with the world. The fact that it is now virtual opens up the opportunity for so many other students to be able to participate, which is unbelievable. So I guess the silver lining here is like, I'm hoping those teachers who are watching today will share with their students and encourage them, maybe create this as a class. I don't want to say a class assignment, but like, I know it's hard to get teenagers to sometimes like push them to do. So maybe this could be something where they have to watch and they get a reflection, but like, it's so worth having them go and meet these amazing, like to participate in these webinars and to see the keynote. So yeah. Oh, great. Clara, you shared the,
Yeah, I would, number one, I would encourage you to watch our webinar series, but number two, make your own. I mean, it wasn't that hard. And we've, a couple practice sessions and the girls had it down, and it's been a lot of fun. They look forward to doing it each week. So I would encourage anybody to get out there and start. You can actually make a StreamYard account for free and get started. We've moved up a couple notches because we had businesses that wanted to support us, and they're actually paying for the streaming service. So, it's definitely something that's doable.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I know even beyond the AllGirls Film Challenge too, Joe, for teachers who are tuning in, who are thinking about graduation or final projects or performances. I know there's a lot of theater or music performances at this time of year. StreamYard is a great tool. Any other suggestions for them of how to potentially manage that?
Oh boy, we're in the same boat. We've been talking about doing a graduation parade. Yeah. Well, like the graduates drive through this, parade, and we've been talking about big giant blow-up screens so that people can see stuff, and we're just trying to come up with solutions. We'll probably end up pre-recording most of the graduation speeches and then be able to deliver those through something like this. But we're also looking at potentially doing something like a drive-in theater. You come in, you park, you see up the graduation on the big screen, and so everybody's coming up with, just trying to come up with a solution. So we really want to celebrate.
I was thinking it could be fun to have like the kids in their cars, exactly. And then like having like a dance party, but like
with like on the big screen, like dancing. We could show the films. The films could be on there too. It's like a drive-in movie theater. That's so cool.
So as our teachers are watching, any kind of final thoughts, any like final advice for a teacher who's kind of like on the fence about like, doing something like this kind of virtual event?
Well, jump in and don't expect it to be perfect. Just have fun. The very first webinar we did, partway through, the girl that was hosting it, her laptop died. Oh, well, the professional just kept talking. In a couple minutes, she was back up and running and back on the webinar. So don't try to make it perfect. Just have fun, communicate. And if you have questions, reach out. I'd be happy to help.
Awesome.
And we have a couple people who are joining in the chat too. So I just want to say thank you to Annie, who's contributed some comments, and William and Michael. If you have questions, feel free to post them if you're on Facebook in the Facebook chat. But I'll post a couple here. So we have one that says, will you post the links for these tools? We are planning our virtual 5th and 8th grade promotion events. Resources are welcome. I know, Tanya, you've been working on show notes. If you want to talk about that for a second.
I will be posting the show notes very shortly after this episode. I'm just going to I curate all of them and pull them together, and we have a web page that I'll be posting inside this chat. So if you come back to this a little bit later, you'll be able to access them. I'll just put them at the end, and I'll post them as well on Twitter. If you follow me, I'll share them as well there. So you'll be able to access all these resources through those show notes.
Awesome. And we have another comment from William. Nice to see you, William. Having the students in one at a time, and he'll edit all together to make a final grad video. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then I saw this other comment here, which I loved. Yes, women of color are so missing from the industry, even from educational keynote and success status, which is so true for many conferences. So that's great that we're being able to showcase that. Let's see if there's any other questions here. And then last but not least, this is for you, Joe. You rock, from Annie. So I think we'll wrap it up there. Joe, any final links or ways that folks can get in touch with you if they have further questions?
Well, the edX is a great way to do that. On our AllGirls webpage, we connected to Twitter, Instagram. We have a Facebook page. So any of those tools, you can connect with us.
Perfect. I'm just posting that in the chat there. So for those who haven't been on the Adobe Education Exchange before, we encourage you to check that out. It has a lot of great resources and folks like Joe who are contributing a lot of their instructional content. So yeah, well, thanks again, Joe, for joining us. Continue to stay safe and healthy at home.
You too.
Perfect. And then for those who are tuning in, we'll see you next week on Thursday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. So thanks again. Bye, everybody.
Hang up. One last promotion that I want to share with you, a big, exciting announcement. We're going to be having some Teacher Appreciation Month, really exciting activities happening starting next week. And on Tuesday, we are going to have a party. A celebration party right here on our streaming channels. And we're going to have the amazing Sylvia Duckworth, and she's going to be doing a fun class on sketchnoting. And it's not meant to be anything more than fun. It's really like, let's kick our feet back. You deserve to have a minute to relax, teachers, and come and learn a new skill for fun, just for you, really just for fun. So Sylvia Duckworth will be joining us right here on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So 12 o'clock Pacific, and you'll see it on our channel. So please join us with Sylvia on Tuesday. Oh, there's Sylvia, and she's going to be doing a class with us. And you can either bring your fresco or bring your paper and markers and pen and whatever you want to use to sketch note. But it's a fun celebration of you. So come and let's just hang out together and sketch note.
And we're so excited for this month coming up. I know this is the first of a series, so we'll have some other special surprises and just everything to celebrate you and connect you together. So looking forward to seeing everybody. Perfect. All right. Thank you again. We'll see you next week. Thanks again, Joe.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching. Click the link in the description below to explore more free online professional development, and click the link on screen to subscribe to the channel for more videos.